Good evening, Titan Nation. How's everybody doing? Welcome into another edition of Titans of Truth. As normal, I am your man, Chris, aka Blue Enforcer. Of course, I am showing off my Titans of Truth shirt, as some of y'all may have seen. Uh, if you want a shirt like this, check out my good cousin LaCrystal Cleveland at Craft Gasmic Creations. You can get a shirt exactly like this, or you can get it in light blue, or you can get it in gray. You can get it in black. She could definitely make them in any type of color, but you could definitely represent Titans and Truth just like me. And I have my information and everything on the back, so definitely check her out at Craft Gasmic Creations, either on Facebook or also on Instagram as well. And I believe this shirt is like $20 or $25 for this shirt. And then she can work out making sure she can get that to you either with shipping or something like that. So, definitely hit her up on that. And if you need some information on that, I could get on that. Leave me a comment on YouTube or also on my Facebook page of the Titans of Truth fan page. So definitely check me out there. But we got a good episode to get to tonight. I know a lot of people are excited about Game 3 with the Cleveland Cavaliers and the Golden State Warriors. So I'm going to get this taken care of for y'all as well. And y'all, everybody enjoy the show. But, OTAs are in full swing right now. And they're about to wrap up. Their third week of OTAs. Tomorrow is the last practice of OTAs that they're going to have for the season. And then, of course, they'll have a 3-day Minicamp next week, June 12th through the 14th. Now, after that is over with, then the players are off. The players are off or on vacation until the end of July. That is when training camp will begin. And that is when we're locked and loaded and ready for the regular season. So now, and I know the big question that's coming out of training camp is what is up with Kevin Dodd? Where is he? Why is he not in practice? Now, according to a tweet from Jason Wolf of the Tennessean, Kevin Dodd's agent has come out and said he is healthy, he is at home, he's training at home, he will be in attendance at minicamp next week. So it looks like Dodd is healthy. He's just training on his own at home. Now, I understand that this is voluntary. OTAs are voluntary. However, with Kevin Dodd, I don't understand why he's not here with the team, because essentially your job is on the line. I mean, you've had a piss poor 2 years under the old staff, and the new staff is trying to give everybody a fair shot, a free chance to kind of start over. And right now, in my opinion, Kevin Dodd is not off to a great start by not being here. If anybody should be here, it should be him. I apologize for that brief distraction right there. If anybody should be here, it should be him. Because right now, you got Arapo and Morgan are starting. Not to mention, they draft Harold Landry in the second round, possibly to be your replacement. John Robinson is basically saying, you know what, I failed on this one. I'm going to get somebody that could be better. And so right now, I don't like the fact that Kevin Dodd's not here. He better be in good shape and ready to show out next week and go into the training camp, because if he's not, he may not make this team, and that will be a not so good failure on the John Robinson's part. But I mean, it's more on Kevin Dodd, not on John Robinson. A lot of times we pick a good player, but that player may not have the work ethic. So that's a problem that Kevin Dodd needs to work out. But also, what was happening yesterday, there was a huge high school coaches clinic that happened during practice, where well over 300 high school coaches from all over the state attended practice yesterday and was able to see practice up front, to be able to see how the coaches operate, how the team operates, and things like that. And what I do like about this is that the attendance for this event has grown every year. It has grown from, it started with 120 a couple of years ago to 250. Now well over 300 coaches have been here. So that is a very, very impressive turnout. And John Robinson, Mike Vrabel, and some of the position coaches got to speak with the coaches, kind of give them an introduction, show them the facility, and then they got to watch practice with the players going. So I thought that was a very cool thing to do. I know my old high school coach, Coach Salisbury, was probably in attendance. Some other good coaches, not only from Memphis, but all the way on to the other side of Knoxville. Some coaches from Kentucky were also there as well. So that's a pretty big deal. And that's a good thing that Coach Vrabel was on board with keeping going, was that coaches clinic. So that was very cool. Was glad that that happened as well. But as far as from OTAs itself, there's a lot going on, and what I'm going to do is, this is courtesy of Titans Online. I'm going to play some clips of some press conferences from yesterday. I got Coach Mike Vrabel himself, Coach Matt LeFluer, offensive coordinator, and also a little bit from Marcus Mariota as well. And I'm going to also try to see if I can throw in something from Dean Pease today. He was on Jared and the GM on 102.5 The Game. And so I'll be able to try to see if I can get a couple clips from his interview as well. But right now, here is head coach Mike Vrabel on the dial now.
Success if they're able to balance all those three things.
New offense is installed. Do you guys have to do any guarding against impatience or frustration when things are slow? Maybe?
Yeah, I think certainly we all do. At this time of year, defense is probably new defense and new offense. I think new defense is going to win day in and day out. And we're making plays, we're hitting plays. And not that the defense is perfect all the time, but I think that there's a tempo, there's a competitiveness, there's a style in which we want to practice. And if we can kind of stay that course, hopefully we'll be okay.
I think you're seeing the most improvement, I guess, from OTA 1 to OTA 8.
I think we're probably, playing faster. I don't think we're executing any better, but I think that there's a speed level to the way that we're practicing that I like. And I think that the pros, when you're a pro, you can play fast, you can play without pads and not have a whole lot of contact and still play fast. And I think that that's probably something that we've gotten better with. So you don't have to always put pads on to go full speed is the message that hopefully we're understanding.
Yeah, what's that going to impact security happen to John in practice?
We let the little hyena out of his cage for practice, and then we put him back in once he goes inside. So I think everybody's starting to appreciate and realize that that's what he is. He loves waking up in the morning every day and coming and being a football coach, and that's who he is, and that's and he'll die coaching hard. I'm pretty sure.
Animal.
All right, that was head coach Mike Vrabel on the dial, talking about balancing. He talked about earlier about balancing life and football and balancing the meetings and things like that, trying to basically have a good schedule, a good time frame of things going on. Basically he also talked about, the new offense is still coming along. There are going to be some days where the defense really looks good, and, there are going to be some days where the offense looks good. Now, everything isn't in perfect execution just yet, but what I liked about that is that you could tell there's a sense of confidence growing in this team, and that he's well dependent on his coaches. He's letting the coaches do their job, and it just seems like there's a bit of an energy to get better. There's a lot of teaching that's going on. And so, one thing about it is that the players are learning, but also the position coaches are learning as well. So everybody is learning. Everybody is learning from the teaching, not only of Mike Vrabel, not only of Dean Pease, the defensive coordinator, or Matt LeFluer, but also the position coaches learning from the players, learning from the other coaches. So everybody is trying to learn, which is something I don't think we had in the previous regime. You know, I think the other regime was just very stubborn and very archaic. They just said, like, their way goes. And it just seemed, you know what, we're going to throw this in, you're going to know it, and we're going to operate, you're going to operate the way that I see fit. And it's not like the coaches, you know, learn something from the players, you know, just like the players can learn something from the coaches. So I like that refreshing thought. I like that feel as well. And you know, Vrabel is warming up to the media a little bit. I mean, I know he struggled with it at first. I think he's coming along with it. I mean, he's not going to be perfect at it. He's not going to always want to talk to the media, but for the most part, I think he's getting better with that. And so now we're going to move on, and now I want you to hear from offensive coordinator Matt LeFluer. He's going to be speaking up next. This is, again, courtesy of TITANSonline.com.
Offense, I know it's a work in progress, new stuff, and how are the bumps in the road and how do guys handle that?
I think the guys have been coming along well. I think for the most part, up to this point, we've gotten through 6 installs, and that was the goal. There's still some other things that we're going to constantly look at and tweak and try to improve upon, but overall, I thought the guys had done a pretty good job of picking up things quickly, and they are a great group to work with.
That you can do in terms of offensive philosophy, but how different is this from what these guys may have been used to the last couple of years?
Well, I think anytime you get a new scheme, I think it's going to be some different. First of all, it's different terminology for the guys, but the guys that have been around, you know, this is pretty much a copycat league, and there's a lot of similarities between a lot of offenses in this league.
Mobile quarterback as well. I wonder if that takes some adjustment for you, kind of getting back to that type of quarterback.
Yeah, I don't know if adjustment is. I guess yes, in a sense, but you know, the hardest thing is you don't ever want to take that element, that creativity, that his ability to create off schedule. You know, you never want to take that away from a quarterback that has the athleticism that Marcus has.
So Marcus's base that he's been working to widen and make his throws more accurate from the pocket. Is it really a matter of muscle memory and the fact that it may be a minor adjustment in terms of what you see out of him, but it yields major results, maybe like a pitcher changing his arm slot or something like that?
Yeah, I do think that he's had years of playing the position a certain way, and I think in terms of one thing you can do as a coach and as a player, I think they can improve upon their footwork, and basically we try to work on things from the waist down and not try to mess with the upper body mechanics so much. But the reason that we put such an emphasis on the footwork and on the base is, I mean, when a guy drops back in this league, those pockets aren't always friendly, and they close quickly. So they've got to be able to get the ball out at a moment's notice, and if they play with the base, typically they're able to get the ball out without being able, you know, sometimes they might not be able to step into a throw, and that affords them that ability.
About him over the last couple of months.
Well, first of all, like I've said all along, he's a great person, and I think he's extremely coachable, and there he is right there. So it's always fun to come to work every day when you enjoy being around the people that you're working with, and he has been extremely enjoyable. I think he's got a lot of competitive juices that don't always, you know, show to everybody out there, but he's extremely competitive, and I know he's working his tail off each and every day, and he's putting his best foot forward to become the best player that he can become.
All right, that was offensive coordinator Matt LeFluer talking about basically the offense getting comfortable, about the running. He talked a little bit about the running backs. I didn't play that part, but I liked where he said basically that he likes both Derrick Henry and Dion Lewis, and feels that it's not a 1 and 2. It's like a 1A and a 1B. So I definitely like that particular part of that, because that tells you basically you have 2 starting running backs, which is a very good thing to have, and it's a very good problem to have with that too. And I mean, they can complement each other very well. He also went on to talk about, and this is stuff he talked about later in the press conference, focusing on using the run game to set up the pass, and using it to set up play action and things like that. Play action was a beautiful thing when it was executed right with Marcus Mariota, because that play action pass, you don't know what's going to happen. And if you have a guy like Derrick Henry in there, if he gets better with his pass blocking or coming out of the backfield, that play action pass could be a very dangerous weapon with Derrick Henry in there, because you expect him to run, and then when he fakes it, that freezes the linebackers, and like, oh my God, we got to drop back. By then, somebody might be open across the middle or on the outside. So that could be a very dangerous weapon, and you don't want to be predictable, because if Dion Lewis comes in the game, then most defenses are going to assume, oh yeah, this is a passing situation. He's very good at that. He's not going to, run the ball between the tackles. So that's a very good emphasis that they're going to put on. And you're going to hear from Marcus a little bit later as well, as far as his technique. But what I really liked was how Matt LeFluer was saying, we mainly work on from the waist down. And for years, what has a lot of people talked about that was Marcus Mariota's weakness? His footwork. He needs to develop a wider base. That's something he's worked on. And, he could be able to step into his throws, be a little bit more accurate, and be able to land some of those passes that were sailing before, that led to some interceptions. So I thought, all in all, Matt LeFluer could be a very big influence on Marcus Mariota going forward, and also quarterback coach Pat O'Hara as well. So I definitely like where they're going with this, and they're tailoring the offense to Marcus's strengths, and they are really attacking his weaknesses to make them better. And I liked when Marcus was with the receivers out in California. So even though the coaches cannot be with them, the coaches that Marcus was working with in California or something like that, they reported back to Matt LeFluer telling them, hey, this is what we worked on with Marcus. This is what he did well. These are some things that we observed and we noticed, and we were able to try to tweak with him. So they're able to report back to Matt LeFluer what was going on, and then he can enhance it and make Marcus even better than he already is. But now, finally, I'm going to, and then I forgot to mention this earlier. The part about Mike Vrabel with Coach Coombs was extremely funny. I liked how he said, you got to let the hyena out of the cage a little bit, because one thing about Coach Kerry Coombs is that he is so energetic, and he has livened up not only the secondary, but he's probably livening up that entire defense as well. So, I mean, if things go well, I honestly could see Kerry Coombs becoming the defensive coordinator of the Titans whenever Dean Pease heads off into the sunset again. So I could definitely see that happening. Maybe not now, but I would say maybe in the distant future. So that would be something that I would look out for as well. But now, last but not least, we're definitely going to hear from, you guessed it, our quarterback, Marcus Mariota, and on the progress.
It's been a couple weeks since we talked to you. How much more comfortable is it in the offense and what you're being asked to do right now with a couple more weeks?
Yeah, it's a process, and I think every single day that we're out here, we're all getting more and more comfortable. It's all about learning the language, being able to communicate, and I think every single day we're getting better at it.
Matt LeFluer was talking about the route trees this morning, and said that pretty much a lot of difference between this year's and last year's and so forth. Would you, I guess, agree with that, and how much of a challenge has that been for you and the receivers to kind of learn this?
Well, I think everybody has a basis.
you look across the league, everyone kind of has the same route. So that being said, it's being able to communicate and being able to talk with each other. Like, hey, this is what I'm seeing on this play, or this is what we need to do to accomplish and execute what's asked of us. So, I think the coaches are doing a great job of explaining things, and we just got to continue to execute.
The leader on that offense, how much of it do you take personally to help Matt get things implemented that he wants to get implemented?
Yeah, you said it best. I think as a quarterback, that's part of your job. So I'm doing my best to communicate. A lot still I have to refer to Matt, just because again I'm learning it just as much as these guys are. So, but at the same time, I think when we're out here all together doing it at the same time, I think guys can look at each other and we're able to communicate and get everybody in sync.
What's your understanding of what they want the offensive identity?
I don't think, again, obviously it's to score points. Be good on third down, be efficient in the red zone. I don't think those things change. So for us, it's continuing to look back and see how we can get better and just be efficient in those areas.
You got 2 more OTAs left. I guess minicamp next week. Where are you going to see you guys make strides here as you close out the offseason?
Well, I think again it's just being able to learn the offense, go out there and execute what these guys are asking us to do. When it comes down to it, it's just making plays. I think at the end of the day, when you're competing and you're out there against the defense, if you can make more plays than those guys can, that says you had a good day. But
now this quarterback Marcus Mariota, basically saying that he's working hard every day to make sure that they execute and keep getting better as the time goes on, getting closer to training camp. And some things that I could touch on is that he's getting more comfortable. And I think he really likes the fact that he's had all of OTAs to be able to connect with his receivers and learn the offense and really get things together. Because the last few off seasons, he's been nursing from injury. He's been trying to come back from a broken leg or a bad ankle or something like that. But now he's fully healthy. I can tell he's getting more comfortable. Sometimes he refers to Coach LeFluer. Sometimes Coach LeFluer refers to him. So I like the fact that the two of them are meshing well together, and they look like they're partnering up very well. So I definitely like that. And we all know Marcus Mariota is very mild-mannered, very, very respectful, and is not going to say too much, but he lets his actions speak for him. And that's something that I like. And I really enjoy what Matt LeFluer was saying is that Marcus is, it just seems like Coach LeFluer enjoys working with Marcus. He says he's extremely coachable, respectful, works hard, has a competitive nature. And it just seems like Matt LeFluer beams up when he talks about Marcus Mariota. And I really, really like that relationship coming together like that. And again, before we do move on, again, I want to talk about Craft Gasmet Creations. My cousin, LaCrystal Cleveland she makes these shirts, and as y'all can see, this is exactly how it looks on me on the front, and then on the back, it has my information right there. Hopefully, y'all are able to see it. It has all my information in the back. If you can't see it, there are pictures on my Facebook page of this shirt and of the hoodie that I've worn, and also my other light blue sweatshirt. If you want a shirt like this, hit her up, Craft Gasmet Creations. Hit her up, tell her Chris of Titans and Truth sent you. And she will make sure that you get a nice looking shirt just like this. And you too can not only support her and her growth of her business, but you're also supporting me as well. You're supporting Titans and Truth as well. You get to wear the gear. You get to show it out. I know a lot of you that really like to show and things like that. Hey, wear the gear. Show it out. and then, we can grow others to show up and support as well. So check her out at Craftgasmic Creations, and you can check out her Facebook page, her Instagram as well. LaCrystal Cleveland is her name, so you could definitely maybe message her, or if you want anything, let me know. I can get in contact with her. You give me your information, I can get in contact with her, and then she can speak with you on some stuff as well. So definitely reach out to me if y'all want one of these shirts. If you want one of these shirts, or a sweatshirt, or a hoodie, I believe the shirt is $20, the sweatshirts are $25, and I believe the hoodie is $30, if I'm not mistaken. So definitely get with me, because I want to see some people sporting the gear too. So, definitely put that out there so you too show your love for TNT. But moving on right quick, we got a couple other subjects to discuss before the day is over. And one other thing I wanted to mention, also, Titans defensive coordinator Dean Pease was on Jared and the GM earlier today on 102.5 The Game, and he talked a lot about what he's trying to learn with this defense as far as learning the players, and also what he thinks of the secondary, that we have, Malcolm Butler here, along with Logan Ryan and Adoree Jackson, and also a couple of draft picks, the draft picks that we picked up with Harold Landry and Rashaan Evans as well. So here's from Jared and the GM earlier today, Titans defensive coordinator Dean Pease. Give me just a moment for to load it up.
Titans defensive coordinator Dean Pease joins us now on the show. So Dean, you heard what Floyd said there about where you guys are. Where are you guys in terms of you really learning the players and learning what you guys can do with this football team?
Well, I think he had it exactly right. We got a long way to go. Part of it, too, is just the coaching staff learning the coaching staff. When you're a new staff, we're guys that, even though we all have some kind of background or something in common on the staff, we're new. We're kind of figuring our way as we go through as the coaching staff, too, along with figuring out the players figuring out us. Even though Mike played for me and we have a lot in common, he's kind of been out now and on his own, had certain ideas, so we're all kind of feeling our way through this. I would say, though, for having been through it a lot of years, that I really feel like we are headed in the right direction, and that the players have been very responsive to us, and I think and us to them.
How would you say, when you take the job and you sit there and you watch all the film of games last year, maybe games for 2 or 3 years, practices, whatever it is you look at, and then you finally get an opportunity to be on the field with these players, what is the learning difference between the two?
Well, I think the first part of what you said, though, is probably not the case as much as people might think. I really don't study a lot of the old film that they had. I know an awful lot about the players, but I also think it's also unfair to watch a guy on film, and that's going to be my opinion of him, and I don't know how he was coached or what he was told to do on a particular play. So what I may think is that's not what the guy was supposed to do. They have been told what he was supposed to do. I really feel like when you come in, you give everybody a clean slate, we're starting over, and hey, whatever you did in the past, whether it was making the Pro Bowl or not making the Pro Bowl, really has no relevance to this coming year. So most of the time, I really feel like I want to draw my own conclusions and my own opinions from what we tell you as a coaching staff, and then kind of go from there. So if that kind of clears it up for you, I'll be honest with you, don't spend, Dick had his system, and it's a great system, probably the best defensive coordinator this league's ever seen. But what he told him or how he wanted to play a certain play may not be necessarily how we wanted to play a play. So I don't want to judge anybody based on somebody else's instruction.
First of all, welcome to Nashville.
this year and gotten another corner in Butler, and you've already had a couple that at least have a chance to be pretty good. Looks like you maybe have 3 of the upper echelon corners of the league. What does that allow you to do when you start throwing all this stuff together?
Well, first of all, whenever you can play man coverage and feel like you got a chance to be able to cover some guys, that's one first and foremost. Doesn't mean we're going to be an all-man team, not by any stretch of the imagination. But if you can't cover, and everybody knows you can't cover in man coverage, and all you're ever going to be in is zone, then it certainly puts you in a tough spot sometimes defensively. So sometimes you just want a 4-man rush, and you just want to try to cover guys. And if you have those guys that can do that, that certainly allows you a lot more flexibility.
And that was Titans defensive coordinator Dean Pease on the line, definitely talking about the adjustment to the defense and knowing the players and not necessarily paying attention to what previous regimes have done, but trying to implement his system to the players and trying to see what the players do well and what they could be better at. And so I like that approach. He basically said, hey, I give respect to Coach Dick LeBeau, and he's one of the best to ever do it, but I can't really worry about what happened last year. I'm worried about this year. And so he's trying to see what players do well and how that can be implemented into his system. And also liking the fact that, he said, hey, we're going to play some man. We're also going to play some zone. And, you can't be just stuck playing one way. Like, I've seen a lot of coaches, even including Dick LeBeau, where they're just strictly playing zone. And so, if you're playing specifically that way, and if something isn't working, a quarterback's going to know how to pick that zone apart. Or if you just play man the whole time, he's going to figure out where the best matchups are and beat your man one-on-one. So I like the fact that he's very flexible. And again, with what Mike Vrabel said way back in the beginning, he said front multiplicity, coverage consistency. And that is something that they're really keying in on and focusing on, is that consistency and flexibility of different things. You can't just do one certain thing very well. You got to be able to do a few things pretty good. So I definitely like that. One other thing I wanted to mention, some notes that I saw, thanks to Jim Wyatt from Titans Online, the senior head writer. Hopefully I get him back on the show before training camp starts. And also, we're listening in with A to Z Sports with Austin and Zach. Of course, they get to be at practice. Unfortunately, I'm not yet. Hopefully that'll be changing soon. But some things that have been noticed, some notes taken, definitely liking the impressions of Dion Lewis being very elusive, being able to be hard to corral and bring down. Always, we've known him as being very good out of the backfield, a little scat back who can sneak out of the backfield and be very, very good from that position. Marcus, very solid. Not too great, but not bad either. There's a couple of passes that have sailed during practice, but for most times, especially with intermediate routes, he's been on. And one thing that I believe that Austin mentioned, and I think he mentioned this last week or a few weeks ago on A to Z Sports, and I support those guys, by the way. Definitely check out A to Z Sports either on your Twitter or on Facebook. Definitely they're friends of the show, things like that. But one thing that they like is with the offense, the receivers are not just playing one position. You may have it where Corey Davis is on the outside. You may have it where Corey Davis is in the slot, Taywan Taylor's on the outside, or Taylor's in the slot, or Rashard Matthews is in the slot. They're having them play different positions and not just playing one. And one thing about the practices that they're saying is that, they are, the scheme is getting players open. It's not so much that the players have to fight to get open. The play is designed to get the players open, and then there's a lot of green ahead for run after the catch. And that's something that I am definitely hoping to see. And, Marcus mentioned scoring points. That tells you that this offense is going to be a lot more explosive than it has been in the past. Excuse me for that, y'all. But also, the secondary has been looking very solid. But a couple of undrafted free agents in Joseph Esty and Rico Gafford have also been kind of doing well in the secondary as well. They've kind of gotten noticed. But one guy that has definitely caught the eye of the coaches and even some of the media is wide receiver Jordan Vesey from Cal. He has been very impressive, making a lot of plays, and it's not just a one-day wonder. He's been making plays all of OTAs, so he could be definitely a dark horse to be that sixth receiver and make this team. Now, of course, he's going to have to be able to do some stuff on special teams as well, but when you're an undrafted free agent, you've got to get noticed. You've got to get noticed by the coaching staff, and you got to make them know your name. So right now, it looks like Jordan Vesey, people are knowing his name. And that is something that's definitely sticking out. You got to stand out. And right now, we're going to see how he looks in the minicamp and the training camp. If he can stand out in games against opposition, he may have a very good shot of making this team. But two other things before we do get out of here real quick is that, I work at a company. I work at a company that's very close to the Titans facility, actually right next door. And one thing I can hear if I go outside and I see them practicing on one of my breaks or whatever, you hear the music going constantly. And this is something that A to Z Sports, I was listening to them yesterday. That was something that they talked about, was the element of the music playing. And they play it all through the drills and all through the practice. And it's different types of music. And what I like about that is it adds energy and excitement to the practice. It is not making the practice dull or boring or anything like that. It makes it so that you get a little bit of a pep in your step. Even when you're tired, it helps you keep going. Now, of course, they cut off the music when a coach is actually trying to teach something or actually trying to show something to somebody. But then, when it's 7-on-7 or 11-on-11, the music is ramped up. I can't remember what was being played before, but there was some good hip-hop that was being played yesterday during practice that I was listening to when I was outside. So there was some good hip-hop. There was some good pop that was going on. So I like that. And one of the things that I think is a good thing for that is it helps with distractions. It keeps you focused. And one thing that Mike Vrabel mentioned in reference to the music is that, hey, you got to be able to focus when you're on the road and the opposing crowd is going crazy and going loud, or the music is playing over the PA system. And one thing I really love that he said is, hey, when we start winning, especially on defense, when we start winning and, the crowd is going crazy at Nissan Stadium on third down, you got to be able to buckle down and focus. And I really like that part, because he basically is saying, hey, we're going to start winning. And when we do, the crowd is going to sell out. It's going to be full, and it's going to be loud. And, I really, want that to happen. I mean, I've been to games last year where it got loud. I think it's going to get deafening next year, if this team starts to get on a roll. And that is a good thing, because it helps you focus on both sides of the ball with making a stop, or if you're on the roll offensively, you make communication with the other guys and you're able to execute even in that type of hostile atmosphere. So I definitely like that in preparation. It really does help. Last but not least, Logan Ryan, there was a picture that came out with some of the secondary players. And one thing that Logan Ryan came up with said, he wants to come up with a nickname for the Titans secondary. He wants, them to be noticed. So, what kind of a nickname can they be? And so I know there's some suggestions that's been put out, a couple that I like, that I saw on some shows and on Twitter and things like that. I saw the Smashville Slayers. I like the Smashville SWAT. I like Pick Six Mafia as another one. I really like that one because I'm a big fan of 3-6 Mafia's music. Another one I believe is Pick 615 or Fly 615, something like that. Another one was Coons Crusaders. You know, I definitely like that. Music City Mayhem. You know, hopefully we cause some mayhem. That might be something for the front seven. Now, one that I like for the front seven, even though this wasn't mentioned, how about the Monsters of Broadway? I would really like that for the front seven. But for the secondary, I like the Smashville Slayers or Pick Six Mafia. I definitely like those two with that one. Those are a couple of my favorites on that. So on YouTube or on Facebook, y'all let me know what y'all think. What would be a good nickname for the Titans secondary that Logan Ryan would suggest on that? What would y'all think is a good name for that? And also, for the Titans of Truth fan page, what do y'all think? What would be a good nickname for the fan page? I mean, you know, I thought about the TNT Enforcers or something like that, or the Two-Tone Enforcers, maybe something like that. The TNT Enforcers, something like that. But give me some ideas, give me some thoughts, what y'all think for that. And I really want to hope to hear from y'all. But I'm going to go ahead and get out of here, y'all. It's been a great show. Thank y'all for joining me. We're going to have this up. Make sure y'all share the show, subscribe to the channel. Also, spread the word. We're getting bigger. A lot of things are going to be happening coming up with training camp approaching. I'm going to try to have Corey Curtis from News 2 on next week. So definitely look forward to that. And everybody, I thank y'all for tuning in. This is your man Chris, Titans of Truth. Get the gear, and I will holler at y'all next week.